So we started a few weeks ago now, the series called Emoticontrol. And what this is all about is of learning to control your emotions, essentially, all right? Because we all have those. And here's the deal. If you don't learn to control your emotions will control you. And when your emotions are in control, usually you aren't happy, okay? And so we need to learn to control them. And we're talking about different things, essentially, that steal our joy, that keep us from being content with life and all that. So I know that's something that would make some of you really content. Does anybody like peanut M&Ms? Like anybody like a big fan? I see a few people. Okay, all right, let's do this. Go ahead, come here. And Zach, I saw your hand. You rose your hand. He likes peanut M&Ms too. Okay, so y'all just stand here. That's good. Well, here you go. How do you feel? Good. All right, and I gotta get yours too. Okay, here we go.
Wow.
Okay, how do you feel?
Awesome.
Awesome. What about you? That's cool. Do you see it on her face? Do y'all see that look? That's all you have to do. Y'all can go sit down. That's it. All right. The disappointment in her face right now is pretty great. Now, this is what's amazing. And some of you are sitting there wondering, is he going to give her a bigger one later? No, because that is not the way life works, okay? Now, here's the funny thing about this. When she had it and that was it, she was happy. I mean, she just got like 8 things, like what are M&Ms, okay? And then she saw what he got, like 500 of them, okay? And all of a sudden, it wasn't okay. And isn't that weird that we all do that, right? We all do that with different things. In fact, just point at somebody right now. Point at anybody in the room and just say you. Just look at them, okay? You got them? All right, now, imagine this. I take you and the person you pointed to up here, and I give you $5. And then, I mean, that's pretty good, right? You could go get like half a Chick-fil-A meal, right? You could go get something to eat, something decent, okay? And then I give your friend who you just pointed to $500. Suddenly your $5, you're like, what? I want more. Like, are you mad at the person right now? Okay. And there's this weird thing that we do, and it's this word right here, comparison, right? And we start to compare ourselves to others, and it is amazing how you can be so happy. She's giving me the evil eye as she eats these things. You can be so happy with something, and then you see somebody else have something more, and suddenly you're not happy with the very thing that you were totally fine with just a moment ago. And we do this in so many different areas of our life. And it's something that you may notice is that, and this is true for all of us, where comparison begins, contentment ends. When you begin to compare, you'll lose your joy. Right? And you could be totally happy, totally living a great life, and then you begin to compare and you will lose contentment. You will lose your joy as soon as you begin to compare to other people. And here's the thing. Comparison causes all kinds of negative emotions. So when I was in my 20s, some of you are like, you're not in your 20s? No, I'm way beyond that. Okay, when I was in my 20s, I remember I was about 25, and here's the thing. When you're 25 and single and you have a good job, it's pretty cool. Like, I woke up in the morning and I was like, I'm hungry. What do I want for breakfast? Wingstop. All right. And I could just go get Wingstop if they're open. I don't even know if they're open for breakfast, but whatever I wanted, I could get. I mean, I didn't have to ask anybody else. And at night, I'd be sitting there, it'd be like 11 o'clock, and I'd like, you know what I want right now? Ice cream. And there was nobody in the house like there is now that would go, you're really going to eat ice cream right now? I'm like, no, I just got it out to look at it, and I'm putting it back, okay? There's none of that. One time I just went out and bought a brand new PC just so I could play video games better, all right? I didn't have to ask anybody. I had the money. I just did what I want. And it was a fun time. It was freedom. It was doing what you want. And something started to happen, though. I started looking around. And everybody that I grew up with, my best friends, all of them were getting married. All of them. I was in 4 weddings. I was best man in 2, and I was always in these things. And I started to compare what I had with what they had, and I was like, well, they have a relationship, and I'm like alone, okay? And I wasn't even dating anybody. Like, nobody was even interested, okay? And and this is what started to happen. I started to get jealous. Right? So to get jealous of what these other people had. And even though what I had was great and something to enjoy, it was a season of life to enjoy, I began to get jealous about what other people had. And you do this too. Like, I mean, they're doing it with the M&Ms, right? But like, if you have something and you see what somebody else has, and all of a sudden, what do? You get envious. That green with envy, that's why it's green, okay? You get jealous. And look, when you're jealous, you know what you don't have? Joy. Joy and jealousy don't go together. And when we start to compare, we get that. there's other emotions that it can bring. So when I was in high school, I was really good at percussion. I was in band, the band nerd people, okay? And I was really good at it. I was the first percussionist in my school to make the all-state region area, all the way to state. First one, I was like, wow, I'm good at something, okay? And then I go to college. And I was going to be in music, and I remember I went to the first marching band rehearsal, and I walk in, and there's some guys, they're like playing on a drum, and I was like, those guys are amazing. They must be like the instructors. Nope. They were like regular old people, and I was like, I am so bad. Like, what am I doing? I thought I was the best. Like, and all of a sudden I get in here, and I'm like a nobody. I'm not even going to make it, and then this happened. I started to get a little bit afraid. Like that I can't measure up. I can't do it. I'm like, okay, like how is this going to be? And look, comparison can bring fear in your life. And you've probably experienced this too. You were going to do something, you're going to try out, you're going to do something, and you saw other people, and you saw what they're capable of, and you're like, nope. Like you see something you love to do, and you think, well, they're so good at it, why should I even try? And all of a sudden, fear, because of comparison, keeps you from trying to do something. Then there's another one. Here's another one. Okay. Have you ever been in class and like seen people are doing something they're not supposed to do? I don't know, eating, talking, whatever. They got up, went to the bathroom, whatever. Okay, you know, like the stupid stuff in school. Okay. And then you did it, and the teacher got on to you. You know what I'm talking about? Like they did it the whole time, and then you did it, and as soon as you did it, boom, you're in trouble. And you know what that makes me? Angry, right? Because they've been doing it the whole time. Now here's the truth about it. Here's the comparison is so weird. I did something wrong, so the fact that I got punished, that makes sense. But I'm angry because they didn't get in trouble, right? It has nothing to do with the fact that I deserved it, but they didn't, and so that makes me angry. Again, comparison just messes you up over and over, and these are just a few of the emotions that comparison begins to cause, and none of them are joy. Sometimes it brings like a fake joy, because you look at somebody else and you go, yeah, they're terrible. That makes me feel better about myself, because I feel I'm smiling because their life is so bad. But is that even real joy? And here's the thing. When comparison begins, contentment ends, and there is no win in comparison. There's no win. If you do it the way most people do it, and you look at other people and go, man, they have everything better than me, and they have everything so good, that doesn't lead to joy. And it doesn't lead to joy when you go down either, because we do this, like, well, I may have done bad, but I'm not as bad as them. Right? And then what does that lead to? Pride, superiority, and those feelings. And those don't lead to joy or good things either. So comparison is something that all of us do. In fact, it doesn't matter who I put on the stage. Okay, if I was giving away something, okay, let's not do M&Ms because some of you don't like that. If it was money, and I gave them $5, and I gave the next person $5,000, and you weren't the one that got the $5,000, you would have been a little upset, okay? Because you're like, I was that close, okay? And it doesn't matter, because we all do that. And if all I would have given away was $5, you would have been so happy you got $5. I mean, mildly happy, it is only $5, but you would have been totally okay with it, right? But it's amazing, and we all do this, and we all live this way. But I want you to know that it is something we need to learn to deal with, and to not let steal our joy, and not let these cause these kind of things. So I want to help us do it. And here's something that makes me feel better. I'm going to compare myself to Peter. Okay, Peter, one of the disciples, okay, Jesus' disciples, he struggled with comparison. So let's compare ourselves, and now we don't feel so bad. Okay, no, that's not the way we're supposed to do it. But I want to show you something that happened in Peter's life. So Peter is walking and talking with Jesus. And Jesus tells him something, and this is what happens. He goes, I tell you the truth, talking to Peter. When you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted. Which just seems like a weird thing to say, but anyways. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go. Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death which Peter would glorify God. Then he said to him, follow me. Now, it's a little confusing, but essentially, he's telling Peter that when he's older, he's not going to do what he wants. I mean, we know that Peter is eventually in prison and arrested and put through many trials, and then eventually he's even killed for his faith, because he says it's a death that would glorify God. And now, this isn't in the Bible, but there's some like historical documents that suggest that Peter may have been crucified upside down, like on a cross, but upside down. And so Jesus is saying, hey, you're going to suffer for me. And this is really interesting, because Peter doesn't seem to be like, oh, Jesus, is there another way? Like, I think he's like, all right, I'll do this for you. I will go wherever you want me to go. Like, there's a part of him that's like, yes, that's okay. I want to do whatever it takes, to serve you and go where you want. But look at what he does, okay? Peter turned and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved, which is John, okay? who was following them. So they're going along, and he looks back, and he sees John. And I think there's a little competition thing going on with him and John, okay? And he says this, when Peter saw him, he asked, Lord, what about him? So again, it's not like, oh, do I have to go through this? No, it's like, what about him? Please tell me he's at least going to have it just as bad as me, right? Like he's going to, like him too, right? Because, it's okay if it's him too. Okay, Lord, what about him? Jesus answered, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? Now, this is obviously like an exaggeration to make a point, okay? Because Jesus still hasn't returned and John is not still alive, okay? He's just making a point. Like, it'd be like if I said, hey, you're going to be a missionary and you're going to live in the slums and poor places for the rest of your life. And you're like, all right. Now, this is not for everybody, but you might be like, yes, I want to do that. I want to help people in the poor places. And then you were to look and go, well, what about them? And Jesus is like, what if they win the lottery? I mean, what is that to you? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you think, okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, and he's giving an example. Like, what if he lives this? What is that to you? And then he goes on and says, you must follow me. And here's kind of the first step is if we realize that God has a plan and a purpose for me, and I need to look at his plan and purpose for me, not his purpose from somebody else, I can begin to beat comparison. If I look and say, God made me who he wanted me to be, with the abilities, with the talents, with the looks, with the whatever, with the life that he has for me, if I begin to trust in that and just follow him, what is it to me what he does with this person? What is it to me what he does with somebody else? And so we learn to begin to trust him and not what somebody else is doing. He said, it doesn't matter what I do with them. That's what I do with them. I'm going to do what I'm going to do with you. And then there's this other great passage, okay? It's in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. I left my Bible over here, okay? Cameraman's following me off the stage, okay. So it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. And I want you to see if you can see the comparison, okay? This is it's talking about the body. You have a body, right? Poke somebody. Poke them. They have a body. Okay, you've got a body. Yeah. Y'all looking good. Okay, here we go. So now the body is not made up of one part, but many. Correct? Right? You have many parts. Okay. If the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason cease to be part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason cease to be part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? And now, if you've already tuned out, listen here, okay? But in fact, God arranged the parts of the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. It says he arranged it just as he wanted it to be. He created all of these different parts with all of these different functions and abilities, just as he wanted it to be. And here's what you need to know. He created you just as he wanted you to be. The way that you are and the gifts that you have are just as he wanted you to be. And he's got this like visual here. You can imagine that like the eye is like, oh, look at the foot. Like, why can't I be a foot? I mean, it's got toes and like other stuff. It's like, I want to be a foot, okay? And the foot's like, are you kidding me? I get stepped on all day. I don't want to be a foot. I want to be an ear. And the ear is like, no. I'm like on the side, like the nose. That's where it's at. It's in the front, center. I want to be the center of attention, the nose. And those like, what? I got snot. Like, why do you even want to be me? I want to be the mouth. And the mouth. Okay, and again, and we can always like look at the next thing and go, wow, I wish I had that. I wish I could be there. I wish I had what they had. And he's saying, look, I made you just as I wanted you to be. And you need to know that. Because some of you look at yourself and you think God just like messed up. Like he was like, oops. All right, but here's the truth. He made you just as he wanted you to be. So we need to begin to realize this. That God has a purpose for you. And yes, he has a purpose for the person next to you. And that person who has the dream life that you see on Instagram that you wish you had. Okay? And he has a purpose for them. And you don't need to look at their purposes. You need to know what he has for you. So let's make it practical and think about some real areas of life. How about relationships? We do this a lot as we look at somebody else's relationship, we look at what somebody else has, and we compare. Now, of course, when I first talk about relationships, you start thinking about like dating type relationships. But let me just mention family relationships. Because, I know some of you look at your family and go, my family is so messed up, okay? And like, it is not fair that I have such a messed up family. Okay, and here's the truth, okay? Your family may be messed up. okay? But let me ask you something. Can God use somebody whose family's messed up? Can God do something with you if your mom left? If your dad's an alcoholic? If you have people in your life that are horrible to you? Can God use you and do something in your life if your family's that way? Absolutely he can. All you need to do is follow him and trust that he has a plan for you. And absolutely he can do something in your life. But as long as you look at other people and go, well, if I had them, then I could achieve something. If I had those kind of parents, if my parents weren't broke and they were like them and had money, then I could do something. I could. If I had this. As long as that's your attitude, you won't be able to move on into what God has for you. But you need to be willing to say, you know what? This is not a good situation that I'm in, but God can still use something to me. And then you got relationships. Look, do not look at somebody else's relationship and envy them and be jealous of them. And, if I was dating her, I would treat her way better than that, and she would be way more happy, and having those kind of thoughts. And you know what? Be content in the place that you are. If you are single, guess what? It is a good time of life to be single. And stop, this is the reason you think it's not, because you're comparing yourself to other people. Because being single is awesome. Your money is yours, your time is yours, and you know what? When you get married someday, you're going to be married the rest of your life. So enjoy being single when you're single. And if you're in a relationship, I remember being dating in high school and stuff, and again, there's comparison in lots of different ways. It's like, well, he already told his girlfriend that he loves her. He already said, I love you. And like, maybe I need to say I love you. No, they're already kissing. They're already making out. They're already doing this. And you start comparing to what other couples are doing, what other couples are experiencing. And all of a sudden you're like, am I missing out on something by not, And I don't want to be the only couple not. And all this. And then you get, fear. You know what FOMO is? Okay. FOMO is when you compare your life to somebody else and think you're missing out because you're not doing what they're doing. Again, comparison. There's not any win in it. So don't look at relationships and other people's relationships and compare to what you should have. Instead, follow God in relationships. Follow what he says to do in relationships, and then you'll have a blessed life in that area. Here's one. Money. Y'all always think when I hold something up, you're going to give it away, okay? This is my money, all right? So here's the deal. If you compare stuff, money, you will always be discontent in your life because there will always be somebody that has stuff that you wish you had. It doesn't matter. At your age, you do it with stuff, and when you get my age, it's just as bad. People my age, we have a house, and I love my house, okay? I have a nice house. And then I get on, for no reason at all, I get on Realtor.com and just look at other people's houses in Burleson. I'm like, my house is awful, all right? Why can't I have that house? I want that house, but it's twice as much. And for no reason, then I get off, and I'm like, now I'm just discontent. Or, and you people do it. They have a certain thing, and you get here we go. Maybe for you, it's not thinking about money. It may be a car, okay? And you just, some of you are like, if I could just get a car, okay? Then that would be great. And then some of you get a car, and you see your friend's car, and it's so much better than your car. And when I was in high school, I got my first car. It was not like this. It was a 94 Mercury Mystique, all right? A Mystique. It was blue, and it was so slow. You could outrun it on a bicycle probably. And here's the thing, it had a tape player, okay? It didn't have a CD player, it had a tape player, okay? And I got that, I was so happy when I got it, okay? And at the same time when I got my car, my friends were starting to get cars too. And my best friend, she got a brand new SUV. Her daddy just went to the new dealership, bought her a brand new one, okay? And then my other really close friend, his parents bought him a brand new Subaru, souped up. It had like subs in the back, this. He's driving us and go, and mine had iPhone 1 speakers on the side, it was so bad. I'm a tape player. I'm rewind, okay, play it. And it's so bad. And it was compared. Here's the deal though. I was so happy to have a car. I did not look at them and go, oh, if only. I was just thankful that I had that. If I would have compared, I could have been miserable in my little Mystique, okay? But I was so thankful to have that. And we can do that we start to look and compare and do all that. There's this. You got some talents, some abilities. Now, I picked sports. as an example, a visual, this was not where my skills were, okay? And again, here's an idea where I could look at other people and go, man, I wish I could do that. Man, I mean, you put me on the football field, I'm gonna be like laying on my back, okay? I was like the little guy in school. And so, I mean, I didn't have those abilities. I couldn't, I mean, you put a basketball, oh, that's really embarrassing, okay? And I can't run, okay? I can outrun 7-year-olds and 70-year-olds, but everything in between is kind of a problem. And I guess I'm just not athletic in that way. That's not the skills I have. But God gave me other skills. And see, here's what's true about you. God has given you talents and abilities. Some of you, it may be sports. Some of you, it may be musical. Some of you, it's math or English, or you're just good at understanding people or helping people. There's so many gifts and talents. And if you become focused on, well, if I had what they could do, then I could really be something, you miss on what God gave you to do, because you're always looking at what somebody else's talents are. I actually believe that every single person has a ministry that they're supposed to be doing. There's something that they're supposed to be doing in their church and for God. Now, not everybody is singing, okay? Some of you, please do not audition for the worship team, okay? I mean, you sound like a cow falling off a hill, okay? It's like, and you say, okay, Jesus likes it and your grandma likes it, but nobody else, right? But some of us, some of you do have an ability and you need to use it. Maybe you can play an instrument or learn an instrument, but it's not just stuff on the stage. Some of you need to be people that are making others feel welcome. We need people that are running technology and doing things, and we could just go through a list of things, but every person has an ability. Some of you would make an amazing small group leader if you would be committed and faithful enough to be one. And there are people that will come into our youth group that if you were their small group leader, it would make a difference in their life because you have a certain experience that they have something similar to. And on and on and on. You have a ministry that you're supposed to have. Okay, one more. So I bought this dress for my wife once when we went on a cruise, okay? There we go. And she looked good in it, okay? And here's the thing. I know this. When my wife wears this dress, there's probably some ladies on that cruise that are like, right? Like look at her, like skinny and blah, 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 okay? And some of them probably felt jealous, okay? It's like, well, if I had that, if I looked like that, okay? And there's some of them that are probably mad. You know how some girls get like, okay? Like dressing like that, okay? They probably got mad and all those kind of things. Because to compare, now on the same hand, my wife, if she let herself, I'm sure she could look at some other women and go, I wish I had that feature. I wish I could do that. I wish I had that. And here's what I say. Girls, guys do this too, but girls, don't get on Instagram and look at some girl's picture and go, I wish I looked like that. That's not how you're supposed to be. That's not who you're created to be. You are who God made you to be. And so don't look and compare to somebody else and say, this is what I'm supposed to be. No, look, I'm not saying on any of these things that like you can't like try to be better. I mean, if you're broke and you can't afford a car and you want a car and you want to get a job so you can get a car, fine. If you're like, want to be in different shape and you want to exercise or do something like that to change something about yourself, that's fine. But don't do it because you're comparing your life to somebody else's and saying I should have what they have. And I find what I should be by looking at other people, because that is the wrong way to do it. We need to find our source of who we are from God, not from looking at other people. In fact, I want to give you a quick way to help you overcome comparison, and it's through a prayer. Okay, a simple prayer, and I'm going to talk to you about what is important about this prayer, but the prayer is this. Father, thank you for who I am and what I have. I trust you with who I will be and what I will have. Thank you for who I am and what I have. Thank you. Here's the thing. Thankfulness gets rid of comparison. When you are thankful, you're not comparing. When we are thankful, we're not comparing. We need to learn to be thankful. Okay, think about this. When I brought them up on stage and I gave the big bag of M&Ms over here and the little bag of M&Ms over here. Okay, so she was maybe jealous, disappointed, but the attention goes to him, right? And that's what we normally think of. We're jealous of this person, okay? But let me ask you a question. Who was the one that gave out the M&Ms? Me. Right. And here's what we need to realize. God has given you things. And when you begin to look at other people, we're not being thankful to God for what he gave you, for the things that he's given in your life. And you have reasons to be thankful. You may not even realize this. There are people that look at your life, and this is what they think. I wish I had that. We're like, yeah, right. Okay, but look, maybe they don't want your whole life, but there's something about you that they want. And you don't want all of anybody's life, really. Isn't this weird the way we do this? Like, you look at one person, you're like, I want their money, and I want their relationship, and I want their looks, and I want their, car, and I want their, smarts, and I want their, you don't want the whole thing. You get on Instagram and you see somebody's vacation, you're like, oh, I'm so jealous of their vacation. But you don't want the rest of their life. You see this little thing and you get all jealous and worked up about it, but you didn't see was that they were getting yelled at by their parents every day of the vacation, and it looked like this great thing on the pictures, but you didn't see everything else. And we just get jealous and we want to pick and choose and pick and choose. What we need to do is be thankful to God for the stuff that he's given you. Be thankful for what he's given you, because he has given you great things. And you need to be thankful for how he's made you, the talents he's given you, the personality he's given you. I am so thankful that you are who you are. And trust him with who I trust him. See, with who I will be and what I will have. Because I'm going to just follow him and trust he's going to take me where he wants me to be. Here's the thing about comparison. I don't personally think, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think it's something that you have a prayer and you beat comparison forever. I never compared again, okay? I don't think that's going to happen tonight. I'm not sure it's that way. I think it's a thing that for our life, we'd make a decision to be thankful to God and not compare. I mean, I could be so easy for me to do that, to not be thankful for what I have. I know guys my age and younger who are like youth pastors at like these really big churches. Like, they got to go to this place, this church is like 5,000, 10,000 people, and their youth group has like 1,500. Every week they're speaking to 2,000 people. And I could sit there and go, well, why can't I do that? Why am I not at that church? Okay, why can't, look at them. Okay, but you know what that means? Why I don't do that? Because I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful I get to talk to you every week, and I get to be, to influence you. I'm so thankful for that. And if in the future God has something for me, great. I don't know what he has for me, but you know what I do know? I trust him, and I trust that it's good. And I'm not going to let what somebody else has ruin what I have and what I get to enjoy. And don't let it do it for you either. Don't look at other people and say, well, if I had that. No, just look at God and say, thank you, Lord, for what you've given me. And I trust you for what you're going to. And you'll begin beat those things and live in joy. So what I want to do tonight is I want to pray for you. And as always, as we end the service, if you need prayer for something, I want to encourage you to let somebody in the back pray with you. And I'm going to just pray over all of us, and then we're going to stand and sing part of a song. And if you need prayer, let somebody pray with you, and just believe God will do something in your heart tonight. Father, I thank you for your love. I pray that we would learn to not compare ourselves to others, not to look to others at what they have, but to trust in your plan and your purpose, and that you've made us just as you want us. I pray that you would give us dreams of the future, hope for what you have. In Jesus' name, amen.